How women emasculate men. This is a controversial and kind of uncomfortable topic, and yeah, I still feel it is a topic that needs some airtime. In my experience working as a men's coach over the past 4 years now, I've come across quite an uncomfortable truth, and that is that some women completely emasculate the men they are with. Either they know they're doing it or they don't know they're doing it, but they're still doing it. And she does this in ways that communicate a subtle or sometimes strong sense of disrespect. Emasculation to a man is essentially disrespect tolerated across time. And emasculating behaviours are not easy to spot sometimes. So in this video I wanted to talk about the 5 main ways that some women emasculate the men they're with, their boyfriends, their husbands. And if you're a man watching this, this is important to watch because you're going to be able to be aware of the emasculating behaviours so that in relationship you can call a stop to it and nip it in the bud, so to speak. And if you're a woman watching this, it means that you can be aware of what behaviours disempower and diminish and emasculate a man in relationship. Because if a man doesn't feel respected, he doesn't feel free, he doesn't feel powerful in his relationship with you, then he will pull away. Okay, so behaviour number 1 is withholding sex or affection, or using it as a bargaining tool. Withholding sex and affection is one of the most emasculating things a woman can do. Sex is very important to men, and I think unconsciously a lot of women know this. And when a woman pulls away and withdraws sex, not necessarily because she's not even horny, like I'm not saying you should have sex with someone if you're not into it and if you don't want to, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that there are times I've come across where a woman has pulled away affection and sex as a way of punishing the man and controlling him and gaining a sense of superiority. Instead of a relationship being equal, it's like she wants power over him for things that he's done that she doesn't like, etc. And when he allows this, it's kind of a tricky situation for him to be in, because how does he handle that? It's hard to overcome this if your woman just isn't having sex with you on purpose and punishing you for it and then denying that that's what's happening. It kind of puts you in a powerless situation as a man that can feel very, very emasculating. And using sex as a bargaining tool is something that I come across it's too common, and it doesn't mean it's okay. It's absolutely not okay. Like for example, she might say, he didn't do the dishes, so he's not getting any tonight, or some sort of horrific variation of that. The second thing is demeaning men's activities. I once had a girlfriend who would make fun of me for training MMA. I'd come back from training MMA and she'd say things like, oh, have you got all the testosterone out of your system then? Or she'd say in the company of friends, oh, this is just a bunch of angry dudes punching each other. And at the time I thought, okay, that's just a joke. And it might be sometimes, right? But underlying it is an undermining effect. It's not celebrating you for going out and doing the things you want to do and spending time with other men and challenging yourself physically. It's belittling and demeaning. And as a man, if you start to internalize that belief, these beliefs, and take on her frame, you might end up not doing these activities altogether, even though you enjoy them. If you enjoy a team sport, meeting with your mates and doing manly activities, then aside from a bit of a playful teasing, she should generally be supportive. The third thing I come across is criticism. Consistent, constant criticism, especially in front of other people. So how I said at the start of the video, a man in a relationship, to feel powerful, to feel good, to feel free, to enjoy being in a relationship, he needs to feel respected above all else. And to be respected is to be trusted. And when a woman consistently criticizes him, what it's basically saying is, I don't trust you. I don't trust what you're up to. I don't trust your judgment. I don't trust your mind. I don't trust anything. And if she also criticizes in front of people, like undermining you in front of other people, which is extremely disrespectful, and it emasculates because putting the person down and criticizing the person, criticizing anyone, especially in a harsh way, it puts you in a position of superiority where you're the criticizer and they're the criticized. So that's kind of setting off an uneven power balance. And ultimately, your woman becomes your biggest critic and the one in charge. And the fourth one is being overly controlling or bossy. I have a great example of this, and it's kind of shocking really, because I just encountered it in a stranger right on the surface. This was a few weeks ago. I was DJing at a that's a terrible gesture, but I was DJing at a bar and I needed to take a break to go to the bathroom. Went to the bathroom and there was a really long queue for the bathroom, or at least so I thought. So I only had like a minute spare. So I said to this guy who's kind of in the middle of the queue, I was like, mate, is this the queue for the bathroom? And before he could open his mouth and respond to me, his girlfriend interrupted him, piped up and said, yeah, it's the queue for the bathroom, but you can go in front of him. And I was like, what? I thought it was a joke. I was like, I thought she was playing, but she wasn't. She was being serious. And he just went quiet. And I was like, mate, is this okay with you? Because I was addressing him directly. It's his place in the queue. So I was like, is this okay with you? And then she once again piped up saying, no, it's fine with it, don't worry. And I was like, I'm talking to him. It's his place in the queue. I'm not speaking to you. It was like, it was such a bizarre situation, but I could tell in that instance, this guy was this small in his relationship. He was like this big. He was being controlled by somebody. And this is like, to look at him as well in the moment, if you could see him, just a textbook picture of pure emasculation in a man right there. He wasn't her boyfriend. He was her bitch. Which sounds mean to say, but that's actually what was going on. The truth is, if a woman talks for you, if she controls you, tries to dictate how you spend your time, and tries to change you, then this is disrespectful. This is ultimately emasculating behaviour. And the fifth behaviour is very similar to controlling, but there's a subtle difference. I wanted to make a different one, and that is mothering behaviours. A woman mothering you is when she does things for you repeatedly that you can do yourself. This might come in the form of consistently reminding you of things that you can remember, but she's basically saying that she doesn't trust that you can remember this stuff and take care of yourself, so she has to remind you of it. When she mothers you, she is basically communicating under the surface that she's basically saying, I'm more mature than you, I don't trust that you can take care of yourself, I know what's better for you, and I'm more capable than you. And if you enter into this dynamic, these beliefs get co-reinforced in you, and you might start to internalize all those beliefs and actually believe them about yourself, which I see this happen. And maybe she has a point. You know, maybe you do struggle with responsibilities. Maybe you are acting childish. Maybe you do really struggle. Like some of these things, maybe she's mothering you and you're allowing it because there's a kernel of truth to it, right? So if that's the case, then I invite you to check this video out next, because in this I talk about a very subtle sort of syndrome called Peter Pan syndrome, where you essentially feel like a child in a man's body. I've made a bunch of videos about this, but this is probably my best one. So check this one out if you feel this applies to you, and I will see you, I guess, in the next video. Peace.